at 98.
98 is a very good innings.
Yeah. I said one time, Oscar, when he turned 80, his conversation, and you should be very careful with people who are 80, his conversation
I can see where you're going.
Was more about death than life.
At 80, you now start giving shares to your children.
No, his conversation was more about death than life. When I die, don't do this. When I die, don't do this. When I die, so every sentence would begin with death. So people of 80 think more about death than life.
we hear you. In the studio, we also have soon-to-be Dr. Kirunda. You are most welcome to the gang.
And of course, allow me to convey my sympathies to my brother Semiju. I was away when our dad passed on. 98, all faculties functioning. And then you find an OO at 60. You were not so sure whether he's nonetheless,
the faculties are functioning, but they are just misused.
Happen to be here, Oscar.
Honorable Mpuuga, I should say, we have two more lawyers coming, Nafka and Honorable Anyoto. So, but you're coming tough gear, I should say, because we are, a lot of people are waiting for Mpuuga bashing, but you have kicked it off. You have started branches.
We've been at this. So
yesterday when I posted on social media that former leader of opposition, Honorable Mpuuga, is on gang, there's a lot of vitriol coming. Some people are threatening. We are not even going to listen. How much money? What is his budget for media?
And be sure they are there listening,
speaking in English, and so on and so forth. I should first tell I should first tell the listeners that I invited Right Honorable Mpuuga through Patricia, our producer, and no money was exchanged, and no money will be exchanged. So the listeners should settle that. But we invited him to have a say. So here we go, Honorable Mpuuga. And I was worried you'd be very late. And then, lawyers these days, you make the news. Kirunda was here, so we're going to start with the EGM that was cancelled, and that a judge that is being attacked.
Did you do press-ups outside before you entered here?
Getting ready for you.
I'm more mental than physical, so I don't do press-ups.
But Honorable Mpuuga, since your time ending of LOP, do you agree you've not must be another look?
Well, I am not aware. Share with me.
Yes.
What makes it look as such?
Yes. First of all, you refused to leave the appointment. Appointing authority said, please vacate. You refused. The reason for being requested to move was because of 100M. Recently, there's 500 million. How can I even divide it by 5? That's a comment from Opondo. Then recently, a comedian you invited yourself was also playing jokes on you, saying for him he took a phone and you took what? Now you are brothers. That's the meaning of not looking good.
But Oscar, do you operate the Ethiopian calendar or the Ugandan calendar?
The Ugandan calendar.
Yeah, because that issue was canvassed at great detail in every space feasible and possible, parliament, court. And I thought that was a settled matter.
On gang, it isn't. I'm looking around the table.
Unless you want to have a new development that you want me to share with the listeners. For me, that matter was long settled, and if anybody out there thinks it was not settled, I think there are spaces where that can be handled. But for me to be invited in a conversation over a matter that was settled,
you
at parliament level,
you feel it was settled
in a court and everywhere. I think it's not
you know when I say the perception, the looking good is a perception. So
perception.
you have to address that as well.
Perception is not universal. thankfully.
Yes.
And that's why for me, I decline to carry this over and over, because we spent a lot of time, energy and resources over this matter, and then it became a matter of opinion.
Yes.
Oh, I'll tell you.
And as I said, looking good is a matter of opinion.
Opinion.
Yes.
And who tells you that opinion is law? So, discussing corruption should be okay.
Yeah.
Okay? But when a matter of corruption becomes a debate, then you know you're discussing politics, not corruption. And OO will tell you he's worked and dealt with the people who are corrupt. And where we have netted them, it's not a conversation of whether or not. It's universally agreeable. But when it's debated and it's not agreeable, then that's not corruption, it's politics. So politics, this one we discuss politics, here I am.
Okay. Others will pick it up. I like the robustness. You dismiss challenges against you, and you kind of dismiss them thoroughly. And then you've gone ahead to form a new political party. Recently, we had Honorable Mavike here, and he was vigorously campaigning for it.
Oscar, we have not formed a party, and we must properly present the realities. We formed a civic platform, call it a pressure group, and the constituent parts of that pressure group include political parties. So to be a very serious misrepresentation of facts, to try to say that parties that are within the DA are also dissolved into the DA. That's not true. They remain parties, and we haven't formed a party. But I said that some of us in the DA are in the process of forming another political platform. And for that, I confess, I'm in the process of electing another political platform. And that I cannot apologize for trying to do that, which is why we fought for freedom of association, which includes freedom to disassociate. So when that is ready, I'll ask you gracefully to come here and I speak to the nation about the new political platform. But the DA clearly is a civic platform.
Just on the other bit, the new one, will it be a new opposition political party?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the DA is a civic platform. Yeah. And its purpose?
The purpose is to engage all political actors, including OO's NRM, to speak about two critical issues in our view. One, the importance and urgency of electoral reforms before the next electoral cycle. Because as a country, our conversation on elections is one at cross purposes, and therefore we must find a convergence to have a talk on what has worked and what has not worked. Some of the issues we are proposing for a conversation have been even litigated upon up to the Supreme Court, but those who are supposed to implement them are adamant. But we are saying we cannot have a quietness of this degree. All of us must go under a tent. We should try to go under a tent as the opposition first, to see how best we can push the agenda of wide-ranging electoral reforms. Secondly, to have a conversation on the transition. The collapse of the NRM is on the cards, and we have a huge worry. We have a huge worry that it can collapse on us as a people, as an economy, as society, and we are most hesitant to see a regime collapse on our people, on our small, fragile and struggling economy. So we want to discuss the imminent departure of Mr. Museveni, whose equation equals NRM, and agree. We want to hear from his people on how they want this country to transition from his imminent departure.
You had iPod. You did not go to iPod. Those were some of the things iPod was trying to achieve.
It was iPod. I'm not talking about iPod. At every stage, humanity should have the capacity to think through options. I do not believe in a state of inertia that because this didn't work, therefore we should go and sleep and allow ourselves to simply, let the world determine our fate. No, we are not about to leave God alone to say, God help us. No, we are humans, we have brains, we have this space, we have a responsibility. So, that's my sense of view. And my view is not ordained. I am only advancing my proposition on how we can manage this situation we are in as a people, unless anybody here would hasten to say that all is well. I'll go back to the village and attend to my coffee.
Honorable Mpuuga, I you know, I'm even a few minutes at a loss for words. You are aware of Honorable Semuju here trying to form another party because in the FDC party, they are not talking to each other. Then you go to your NUP, I don't know if I should call it your NUP or your former NUP, you are not talking. And the accusation is you are not talking because you are chief in dismantling NUP, as is being said. So how will you then get that consensus if you are accused of dismantling your NUP? Semuju's FDC, they are not talking to each other. So, and I don't know, will you get Opondo to talk?
I'll not speak to what's happening in FDC. I have no more authority. The Honorable Semuju is here. He will speak to it.
Let me add, in fact, I'd forgotten to add DP, Mao's DP, because that's a good one to say Mao's DP, because he has also been saying that Mpuuga is at it again.
I am happy to be.
He said Mpuuga is just warming. Call the food.
And when the food got cold, he went where the warmers are. So let him enjoy the warm food. I have no problems with him enjoying his warm food where he went. So, but strictly speaking, Oscar, this has nothing to do with what my personal issues are with the NUP. I think the country is bigger than all of us. And what we're trying to do has nothing to do with the friends. You don't have to be bosom friends to try and do something about this country.
I agree. But what I was putting to you is that people in these opposition groups are not talking to each other. And in one group, they even accuse you of causing that condition.
Well, the accusation can arise, but it's not universal. That's the beauty. And people can opine, and I respect the opinions. All I'm saying is that in Parliament where I sit, for example, we disagree, but we sit there and discuss about this country. So must these different political platforms when need arises. Otherwise, in my view, an attempt by an opposition group to go to the polls without an up-close conversation is an act of neglect. It is also cowardice on our part, but also it would be a donation to the ruling NRM. So I do not want to participate in free granting the NRM, free lunch to go and extend their ruin over this nation. I would rather that as the opposition, even in the face of our inherent disagreements on so many issues, we can have space to have a conversation, at least to propel those issues we agree upon. For example, electoral reforms. I don't think anybody disagrees with the need to immediately undertake a conversation on the probability and possibility of reforms.
Correct. Reform talk is very important, and if you can persuade Opondo to get into it, perhaps it will work.
We shall force him. We don't have to persuade him. We must generate the kind of momentum that forces him to speak about it.
Okay. Let's begin with you, Derek Wande. I have a comment here on Twitter, formerly X. Most welcome, Honorable Lydia Wanyoto. Welcome to Gang. Most welcome.
Thank you, Oscar.
Namfi, Marian Kasule Namfuka.
Good morning to our listeners, and I want to say pole sana to Honorable Ibra Semuju. Muzei passed when I was in Mbale. The president was visiting, and I couldn't make it to Chazanga because the speed of you people, someone has died, you just run the burial program. But the beauty of it is the 40 days. So I would want to come to your home and have that dua for the 40 days. Oscar for Nafuka, I want to welcome Nafuka back to Capital Gang. She delivered us a bouncing baby boy called Mwendo. She's now in Nakawere, so we are very happy to have you back to the gang.
I think Nakawere is up to 3 months.
Even 2 years.
Well, if you want to have another baby quickly, you can remove the nakawere. It's also allowed because because if you want to have another baby quickly, you remove the title nakawere, and it's also allowed. So please have your babies, and it's okay. Thank you.
So, Derek, back to you. I should say, politics, as you say, Honorable Mpuuga, because Namfi has made a list of questions from Mpuuga. Many. And at least you've gotten the hug out of the way.
And I'm sitting right next to him. So we can even exchange notes.
Today there's no talking about him, you'll be with him.
Yes.
Okay. So Honorable Mpuuga says those are perceptions, baseless, things are settled. But maybe you want to get into the politics. Then you have Kib Samuel on X saying, this was another one saying, what is settled? He's just avoiding questions. Are you in the same category? You are the journalist here, that's why I've started with you. Otherwise, I'd have gone to the seniors.
Thank you, Oscar. Myself and the Honorable Mpuuga have interacted about that matter for a very long time. And he knows that it stretches back to 2022 in August when I first had an interview with him, a phone interview. And of course, like he has said and put it this morning, of course, Honorable Mpuuga is not easy. Honorable Mpuuga is not easy to get on on the recorder or on the camera.
That's not true.
But the first time I had an interview with him, of course, like he has put it, baseless. He still called it baseless in 2022. So I'm not surprised that he's actually calling it baseless today. And I remember that the conversation had started as much as earlier as that. When I asked him about the conversation they had with the leadership of NUP in Magere, and his comment was as succinct as, so I speak to my president and he comes and tells you what we have talked about. And that's the comment I carried in that story. And of course, after I broke that story in 2022, there came a lot of comments from different angles within Honorable Mpuuga's leadership and offices. That said, I think my story came to life again this year, or even early this year. And again, I had the conversation with the Honorable, and still the answer was it's baseless. Until the exhibition happened on X, and all documents were thrown on X, and how the money exchanged hands. And I'm lucky that sometimes the Honorable Mpuuga calls me whenever he has an issue. I came this close to having a one-on-one with the Honorable Mpuuga, but I've not managed yet. And
today you will.
Yeah, I think the last time.
Are you saying has been dodgy?
I don't know. The last time I asked him, last time he called me asking for an interview, he cancelled it as immediately as possible. And I have.
Are you a ghost? You're speaking things that are alien to me.
Hold on, Honorable Mpuuga, we'll come back to you. But in short,
Oscar, can you give Honorable Mpuuga a piece of paper and a pen, the way we work at Dagang, so that he can take notes? But then you don't respond, you listen.
He doesn't have a weak brain to note everything.
Yeah.
Here you take notes in your head so that you listen.
Because
for me, okay, summing it up.
Are these things just baseless opinions?
No, they can't be, because there has been a lot of proof and lots of documentation
that
and I feel for the sake of Capital Gang, the Honorable Mpuuga shouldn't rubbish the conversation, rather give some answers.
Well,
thank you. It can't be settled simply because Honorable Mpuuga feels it is settled. As we say, it is not settled until it is settled. When this matter came up, Honorable Mpuuga said on CBS and other radio stations, he said, I have not received the money and I wish I could receive 500 million. A week later...
This is factual?
Yes. Yes. A week later, Mr. Chris Oboro, who speaks for Parliament, gave an interview to the media and said the money was actually paid in 2022 via borrowing from the parliamentary circle, because at that point in time, Parliament did not have cash. And when the money for Parliament came, of course they paid, but they had borrowed from the circle. And there was a dispute as to the legality, the procedure of getting the money. Now, eventually that was settled. Maybe that's what is settled, that the money was actually properly processed in Parliament. And then now we don't have a dispute with that. But I have a dispute with the Honorable Mpuuga trying to deny that he had not received the money. And I think, Honorable Mpuuga, that's where in my view, where you lost it. I wish when the matter came, you said, yes, I received the money like all the other commissioners did. It was properly, it was paid formally by Parliament. Mm-hmm. It was legally, not my decision. It wasn't my decision, but I received it. Yes. I think this matter
was wrong, but it was legal.
You could have handled it in a different way, much better, in my opinion. That said, now it is settled that the money was paid, and they are unwilling to admit that it was not properly done. Because if you say service award, Honorable Mpuuga and the commissioners were hardly a year into those offices. So how can you give yourselves service award, rewarding yourself for good performance, when you are hardly a year in performance? I wish that money had been given at the end of Parliament or the end of tenure of Honorable Mpuuga as Lob. For me, I would have understood that could have been good. Now, that cascaded into the dispute in NOP. I don't know how NOP people handle their internal issues, and again, I think in that respect, it wasn't handled well either. Because NOP leadership claims that when they summoned Honorable Mpuuga, he admitted, he agreed on a number of things, including apology, blah, blah, blah. And when he came out of that meeting, he then backstabbed them. He recanted what he had agreed to do. And that's where the dispute with his party came from. Now, his attempt now to come up with the electoral reforms. You remember when he asked Parliament to give him leeway to draft a bill and present it, his party disowned him, disowned his posture with the reforms. Now, if you are one person having a dispute with your party, I don't see how he can shepherd that proposition in Parliament and gains, even if it is legitimate to have a conversation on electoral reform. But I don't see how he can garner support, even within his party, within the broader opposition, and persuading the NRM majority to agree with him, even when the propositions are good. So, I say Honorable Mpuuga is fleeing his party in a leaking vessel. He's fleeing
the English on this program today.
He's fleeing NOP in a leaking vessel. He is unable. Yeah, he's unable. In our language, in the Padola, we have a saying that a man who is being chased or who is running away from danger has no time to pick the valuables. You just pick your rag and run because you want to save yourself. And I think Mr. Mpuuga, Honorable Mpuuga, has picked a rag and is trying to flee.
Let him finish.
It could be the DA, could be other thing. So I don't see him. I don't see him achieving even when he's well-intentioned. But I doubt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Honorable Mpuuga, you can see prepared himself. And there's Bernard Kwiringira Jafari says, replying to listening to Capital FM, but it's like Mpuuga has appeared in courts of law on gang. And my answer to you, Bernard, is yes. So he's even seated in the hot seat, as you will see it from the photographs when the producer takes them. Robert.
Yes, Oscar. What is the question? I want to sharpen my English.
The topic is known, so are you asking a question?
Indeed.
No,
and the topic is Mpuuga, and he has already told you his mental ability is sharp, and he says in his opinion this matter was settled, nothing to add. Now 2 speakers have said no, it is not settled, but OO has even added English and Japadola.
I am tempted to add Lusoga, but
please. You know how this show likes people from the East, the people of wisdom.
This is true. No, first I must, as teachers, every chance you get, you boast a bit. That's the reward we get from society. I must say it's always a joy to be
debating with former student
with my student.
Did you eat as well?
No.
Did you bring?
I taught him at Makerere at the law school.
Okay.
Now this
Mpuuga, next time remember your teachers. When there's a basket.
I'm working for the environment.
Okay.
But the issue of the 500 million has been around for a while. Unfortunately for you, Honorable Mpuuga, I don't think that debate will rest. At least until after the election.
The teacher is talking.
You gave your opponents a really simple subject to talk about. Now, when I saw it in the press the first time, as you know, I had taken some time out from the hallowed halls of this studio. So I often thought to myself, how will this debate go? And I've seen many shades of it. I think I saw on another platform sharing some thoughts on how perhaps it would have been managed better. I think the situation, unfortunately for you, is Namfi is about to come and tell you it was lawful but illegal. But illegal. But 3 things for me really, Oscar, here. One, it ought to help our friends and colleagues in politics to think very carefully about actions and messaging. I chose not to take a position one way or the other. Now, say what you will of that, because my view on public expenditure in this country has often been that we need to put money really where certain priorities are hurting the most. Do commissioners of parliament deserve a service
Robert,
award?
Your microphone has gone off a little bit. Let me come back to you. I don't know whether Honorable Mpuuga is also fixing the microphone. You're back on now.
I'm back on now.
You're back on now.
No, I was saying that I was just saying to my brother, the Honorable Mpuuga, that unfortunately this issue will linger with him.
Should he just say sorry and we move on?
In my estimation.
Before he says sorry, the thing won't go away. That's what Mwalimu Kirunda is trying to say.
At this stage, I don't think even a sorry will fix it. I think, unfortunately, it's a messaging issue that went completely out of hand.
Yeah.
I am a believer in the Bible. The Bible says a laborer is worthy of his wages. So if someone does a good service, and there's reason to compensate them, then you compensate them. The problem, as OO has pointed out, is that then OO will come and say, no. But you were hardly a year in. So then the debate continues. Every angle you put to it will open a new flank for debate. So I hope that out of this, the Honorable Mpuuga takes major lessons to pause and reflect. You know, the thing that where my mind has gone every time I have listened to this issue has been, but how did Honorable Mpuuga shoot to stardom? And the one thing I knew about him before I met him at the law school was that he was I believe he still is a fantastic mobilizer, which is an asset in politics. Now, whether he's mobilizing
The teacher see mobilization in the student.
No, I learned. See, what happens? No. Let me clarify. What happens at the law school, like any other serious school, is you arrive at the law school and people say, "Have you seen the Honorable Mpuuga?" And you say, "Who is Mpuuga?" They say, "You don't know Mpuuga." Then they give stories. It happened to me with the Honorable Sechikubo. When I met the Sechikubo I had heard about in person, I couldn't believe he was the one. Because I had heard about this lion who roars and sets parliament on fire. And then when I met him, he was sitting, my teacher. Oh, good afternoon, sir. One time I was walking on Kampala Road and he had bodyguards. And I reached out to greet him. Oh, he took formation around. He said, no. He commanded his troops to step back. So that's how you learn about. Thank you,
Robert. I'm going to interrupt you and we move because so many people. Another lawyer has come in a bit late to the court. Abdu Bernard Kuingia said it is as if Mpuuga is in court, and then I said yes. So senior lawyer Katuntu is here. Honorable Abdu, you're most welcome to.
Thank you.
Late to this court.
I'm sorry I'm late.
Okay. Nanfi, before Lydia,
Yes.
Let's go through your list. Let us have her list first.
Of questions.
Looking nice. Beautiful.
We're switching off all other microphones.
What is the question?
You are saying
The microphone.
Semuja has already said the microphone is okay. Semuja has already said.
There's a topic.
Yes.
Has Semuju spoken yet about?
No, Nanfi, you are speaking now. Go ahead. All microphones are switched off.
She has a notebook of questions.
And they can all be summarized with why.
Go on.
Why? And I guess the big man is here to speak for himself. And
I'm a teacher of English, and teachers of English say, put it in a sentence, please.
Why? That is the full sentence at this point.
Of the English language.
See,
but also English can generalize literature and so on.
Yeah. Oscar, when I saw the topics, and when you said Honorable Mpuuga was coming to the show today,
And that is a topic.
And he's a topic in himself. I was like, this is worth jumping from.
Breastfeeding.
Yeah, because I'm just a cow these days. But yes, to come and partake in this. But for me, Oscar, it's the kind of I hope Honorable Mpuuga here understands that a reputation once lost is very, very hard to rebuild. And for a while, Honorable Mpuuga enjoyed one of the best reputations in politics. You held a certain respect that people had. And I think there was still room for redemption when, like Opondo said, you were asked about the 500 million. If you came clean and said, look, I can return this money, I took it, but that was my fault. Even if you stepped them from that position at that point, you had room to return. But the insistence and hitting back and now forming a new pattern, it's just, like they say, once you're under, stop digging. And yet, Honorable Mpuuga keeps digging and digging and digging. And I think that those are the questions I have that I don't understand, because he's a person I held with a certain esteem, and I don't understand the decisions he has made in the last, including holding parties and services, calling bishops to pray, and it's bewildering. I don't even know which word to use, how to express how confused I am that this person of a certain caliber has sunk to a point of, because where we are, I don't see any redemption. Maybe you should join Semuju's party, because you may use resources, unless of course Muhozi is sponsoring your new party, because he has bottomless coffers and he can use our state money to do that. But unless he's the one sponsoring you, I urge you not to take that path. Oh, this country is bigger than us, let me form a party to just, swim in the ocean that is this country that is so big. Because you're going to end up in addition to losing your reputation, you will lose your money. You will end up broke.
Just as tweeted saying Honorable Mpuuga is presidential material.
Is presidential material,
So
which of course
now is the judgment.
is not. He's not. But when he starts promoting you, sometimes he gives you money
Exactly, as he has
to run your party. And the last person he spoke glowingly about, Mawo, ended up in the NRM shouting for him. So
You said the same about Dr. Besigye. Is this sponsoring his new party as well?
that is his uncle and godfather who fought in the bush with his dad. You didn't fight in the bush with his dad. Your reasons are different, Honorable Mpuuga.
Namfi, now pause a bit, we go to Lydia.
So for me, I would like to understand.
Yeah.
But maybe also Oscar. I think it's time politicians in Uganda took their career to the next level. In other countries, they have PR machines and PROs who help them navigate certain situations.
But when he was a LP, he had a PR office. Honorable Mpuuga had a PR office.
Who?
Honorable Mpuuga.
Did he hire anybody to help him with this?
Parliament hires one for you.
No, not like that, Oscar. We personal PROs who help you navigate certain situations, because you see, when you're inside there's a reason why even in football there's a coach outside to direct the players, go there. When you're inside, immersed in a situation, rarely do you make the right decisions and the right calls. So sometimes when there's an outsider who has studied this, who is educated in this, and who they will navigate the situation better for you and tell you when to stop, because now we have a party.
Let's go to Lydia.
Okay,
Lydia.
so you said the topic is
Mpuuga.
The topic is Mpuuga.
Yes.
Mine is just a word of counsel that Honorable Matthias Mpuuga, you are stayed in a chair where many colleagues of yours have sat and they have lambasted NRM and Museveni, and have been able to respond to them, and as soon as they leave here, they join Museveni and cabinet before even some of us. So you have come here
before some of you said
even before some of us. Yes, they are in cabinet. I was here with the Betty Kamya. What did Betty Kamya say about NRM and me and Museveni? She was seated here. The others I will not mention. The others said I should refund my school fees to Ugayaza because I was speaking for God. So this seat you are seated in, I would advise you that you handle issues of the other aspects of Mpuuga before you talk about Museveni and NRM, because I'll remind you, like I've reminded your colleagues, if God gives me life and a voice to come to Capital Gang, there is so much about you people in opposition.
Before you came, he said
that you can
NRM
resolve internal among us.
Before you came, he said NRM is going. That's why he has this.
That's why I'm responding to him. Okay. Because even others said, the others even formed the party. You've forgotten the party with a giraffe looking for 1 million signatures. Where did the 1 million signatures go?
In NRM.
So let me just tell him that it is better for you
to remove the imperial presidency.
So my counsel for you, Namfi, is for me, Honorable Mpuuga, there is so much for you to resolve internally before you look at the NRM that you think is dying. Because for me, in my humble opinion, we are now a shadow. And sometimes names are bad. You know, if you name your child a bad name, they go with those. You know those names of death, hunger. It's always good to have children, giving them good names. Now, unfortunately, Mpuuga was the leader of a shadow cabinet, shadow government. He looks a shadow now. You need to come back to your real life. Answer the questions.
Honorable Mpuuga, these people
reorganize your life.
No,
I'm giving you counsel that before you come to say NRM is dying, where I am very alive. I'm a member of the NRM and a leader, and I think I've been consistent as a national leader. So for you, before you tell us that we are dying, you look like you're already dead. So why don't you first revive yourself, reorganize yourself before you say, for me, I'm only speaking for the NRM, that I'm responding and giving you kind counsel, because your colleagues have been here before, harassed us, and they are now more in yellow than us.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you.
Mpuuga, you can say I told you people are ready.
The matter is not settled.
Pardon?
The matter is not settled.
The matter is not settled.
before
Honorable
The real word of shadow is really shadow now in the real sense of it. And reshadow yourselves before you attack NRM.
Let's have Katuntu before Semuju. Honorable Katuntu. The topic is Mpuuga.
And he's here.
Yes, the topic is Mpuuga. The controversy surrounding the service award of 500 million is going to go on for a long time. Basically for two reasons. One, there are those who think they'll use it for benefit in their discussions. Then there's also, when it came, the National Inter Platform had a contradiction in itself, and this was the best opportune time for them to hype it. Then you have people like Lydia, because the Honorable Wanyoto, you can solve her arguments now. By the way, Mao used to say this Mao now is an RM, but you almost use it, blah, blah, blah. You know, there's that thinking of people who think this is their thing, NRM. They don't want other people to go there.
Belittle us, that's the point.
Because you are belittable.
No, then why do you join us?
You are belittable. There is no doubt about it. Because you see, nobody is going to belittle NRM just like NRM. No. People will be talking about issues or challenges within the NRM, and that's not belittling you. To me, sometimes it's better you address the real issue which has been raised, like now the issue of Honorable Mpuuga, rather than saying, oh, you know, is now a shadow of his what and so on. You will run away from the issues. But having said that, this is now politics. And as long as it is politics, they should come up and the Honorable Mpuuga will have to explain it. Whether the majority of the people are going to go by the other narrative or the Honorable Mpuuga's narrative, that time will tell. Whether it's a shadow, time will tell. And you know, time is one of the best judges, Oscar. You know, it never cheats. It doesn't. So the judgment day is coming. It's not sometimes what we are saying here and so on. I'm sure the election cycle is coming soon, and Honorable Mpuuga, I'm sure, is still a politician participating in elective politics. Let us see how the people are going to judge him.
Thank you. Honorable Semuju. I should say, Honorable Mpuuga may not know, but the Semuju took a lot of bashing on your behalf.
Time to discuss Semuju's party.
Not today, but
you mean when you were on maternity leave, the county was not discussing things that as they were happening.
Take that as a compliment.
but
so now we wind because Nafuka was away.
Semuju was Nafuka bashed at Nafuka Wandera, not Shirunada, I forget who. They bashed Semuju thoroughly for refusing to condemn you. And Semuju said that you were wrong. That one he said. He said you are wrong, but he will not condemn you. That you are best friends and
we are brothers.
And brothers.
Yes.
And so the whole of social media was against Semuju for refusing to condemn, though he said it was wrong. So,
as I said the last time.
At the time.
Yes. When you reflect on many decisions that we have made as Parliament, many decisions regarding our emoluments, a decision that we should never have made. Many of the decisions that we make. I told the friends that maybe at the time people made the constitution, but it happens elsewhere, by the way. Their standards of an MP were not just standards of a senior six leaver, but in conduct were higher standards than maybe those of us who were in Parliament. Maybe not all of us, but many of us were in Parliament. So the broader discussion on emoluments, benefits of members of Parliament were very difficult for an MP to defend broadly. The specific issue of the Honorable Mpuuga, I said at the time, that legally nobody was going to challenge it and win. But I said it had moral issues, and the moral issues have been raised. Maybe we have revisited it because Mpuuga is on the show, but we discussed it to my satisfaction, and I gave my position. I said whether on this matter or on any other matter. We talked
about him, but today we had an opportunity to have him.
Whether on any other matter, I will not be a neutral judge.
Right.
Because of my relationship with Mpuuga, we met as young boys in senior 2, and since then we've lived together. So I'll be pretending on the show to say I will be the first to condemn him. So that I said, and I was being truthful. The bashing.
However,
so the other issues, my wish was for the opposition in Uganda to be under one umbrella. That remains my wish. Very difficult because the motivations are different. There are those of us who go to parliament because they pay higher salary. And any formation that will not give you an advantage, you will say it is very bad. At one time I was speaking at a seminar and I compared ourselves with people who were in the 6th and 7th parliament who were risking their own career by taking on Museveni, because an opportunity for many of them, especially those who handled the removal of term limits, were NRM. An opportunity for them to continue existed, but they chose the country, and many of them don't lose elections because they are weak. There are areas where you can overwhelm the state, but there are also areas where if you are not with the state, the same judgment I made on Mama Mbabazi when he came and the country was pampering him as a new, and I said, you see, this Mama Mbabazi was made by the state. When you remove it, he will become as weak as any other person.
Yeah.
So and Opondo, there is nothing really for you to celebrate. When people become weaker, I don't remember Manya Mushega told me one time, he was speaking about the former UPC chief who was Minister for Health, Malinga, Dr. Malinga. So when he died, Mr. Museveni now described him as a very good NRM person. And the Honorable Manya Mushega told him, when you squeeze a person and he associates with you just purposes of living, survival, you need to ask yourself whether that is a matter for which you should celebrate. So if you have squeezed the people you have listed from Giraffe to everybody and they have joined you, I don't think they are joining you on conviction, but they are joining you. They are joining you because they want to live another day, and progressively you lose the country. You lose a country because you no longer have a discussion. The other day I was comparing.
My point. We deserve better leaders.
The other day I was comparing the human resource that Museveni assembled to run a country. Professor Nsibambi, Professor Rugumayo.
I'm trying to work out how we got here, because the topic so far has been Mpuuga. I want to go back to Mpuuga.
He said he can't be a neutral judge. He said he can't be a neutral man.
So you wanted me to restate what I said?
No,
and I said I want to discuss other issues.
No.
Yeah.
We can stop here.
He has formed his own topic.
It took me a while, and I was thinking
you will be a teacher and mark at the end. So do you stop children answering?
Yes, when they are going the wrong way.
When they have set their own topics.
But Oscar,
when they are calculating things wrong,
I am sure the President Museveni Semuju knows after all these years is not the kind to look for quality anymore. He's surviving himself. So he's not.
Thank you, Nafi.
So he will.
I want to go back to Honorable Mpuuga.
But these two have new parties. Why can't they have new parties now that they are? That they are loyal to each other.
Honorable Mpuuga, you've listened. Apart from when you and Nafi were, you've listened very well. There's Wanda here, Fortunate Wanda on Twitter says, we wanted Matthias Mpuuga on Negang when this story broke out, and he refused to show up and only went to CBS, a friendly audience, but time has brought him to us again. Let him face the court. So just in a quick summary, Abdul, Robert, they all believe, Derek, they say the matter is not settled. God's father says Mpuuga told a lie. Namfi also says Mpuuga told a lie.
Mpuuga should return money.
And should return money. And then Robert says you can settle the matter. Then Lydia says you are a shadow. Then your brother, I'm not sure what he has said. Semuju. So start. And Abdul said the matter is not settled, and people will use it any way they want. So right, hold microphone on you. Let me get also a videographer on you as well.
I will.
So we record.
Abdul can't.
Pardon?
Abdul crossed over
Yeah.
the other day. So
You rarely interrupt.
But can I just, and I'm trying to hold my calmness, but as the Honorable Mpuuga comes on the mic, can I just suggest something to the Honorable Mpuuga? Perhaps the thought I never finished is this. The matter will not go away. So perhaps my advice in this situation would be, and Namfi was on to a really huge point. In the West, when you face a controversy like this, the first thing they tell you is, don't confront the issue without clear advice on messaging. My earlier point on messaging, what I would suggest to the Honorable Mpuuga is, find another way to win the public on your side to move beyond the issue. It will be difficult, and I don't see, with the kind of politics we have in Uganda, I don't see this issue going away, at least before the next election.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the question is, will you find a way to get us to discuss a larger issue beyond the 500 million?
Okay.
Because the issues have been voiced.
That's what he wants us to
the rest is echoes.
So we are going to continue. You see, the producer has come to take away. I've taken the mouse away. We are going to continue for 5 minutes, and then we'll stop for a break. So let's have Honorable Mpuuga.
there is that question.
Respond any way you want.
Namfi is nagging me. I want to ask Honorable Lydia Wanyoto and OO to take her to NRM, because she's very eager to join NRM and wants to use my excuse in joining NRM.
No.
So please do not use me. If you want to join NRM, feel free. It's available. Freedom of association is guaranteed in the Constitution. I wanted to say to my friend,
Rule out that you join
Namfi,
NRM.
when you spoke, everyone has spoken, let the man respond. Uninterrupted for 5 minutes.
let's clear one simple thing, Oscar, that OO alluded to. That you see, I was given a service award, an ex gratia, before my term ended. That is not true. I want to restate it here. The way Parliament works and the budget works, I became the LOP in June 2021, and around that time, they had a budget run 2021-2022. We didn't have that service award. The next financial year, 2020-2023, we had that conversation in the commission and was debated extensively. And then the argument was, ordinarily, the term of the LOP is either 5 years or 2.5 years. That's when the money was put in the budget. And I want that to be understood. You don't wake up and say, now we are going to award. No, because you don't have a budget. So if you are going to pay somebody in December using the budget, you must have the money in the budget passed in June. That's how it works. So I don't know why it's so difficult for anybody to understand that. And I think that should be clearly understood. Yeah, so
He does. But he's doing his
No, he said
I thought I should make that very, very clear. And it should not really be a very big issue, because you must have a budget. If you're going to give somebody, and I left office in December, the money should have been in the budget or passed in June. So I don't think that's really rocket science. Of course, I don't want to respond to my brother, Derek. I know what he's been doing as an NUP activist. He's been starting controversy. He's here and there. I know him so well. And I had him overrating what he's been doing. He was doing nothing really superior to what others were doing. I want to say to him that what you're doing is ordinary. And what you're saying you are breaking, you broke nothing. A budget is a public document. So if you think there's something you are reproducing, it was passed in Parliament and it was all over. So there's nothing new. So when the time came, And if some commissioners, you see, I was not given an ex gratia as a commissioner, no, as an ex-lob. So if commissioners went to the SAC and got money, that is their business. Invite them here. I'm speaking to myself, not for them. And a member of parliament has a right to say, I expect this money, I can have an advance on it to do something I want to do. You can't take away that right. So I was not part of that. At least I know what I did, and it's in the public domain. Let me say this. This matter probably will not go away like you have stated. Like other matters have not gone away. But I'm saying, if a matter is a misrepresentation, if the matter is being used to resurrect the politically dead, it can remain and linger until the next election, when those who want to use it for political resurrection realize that it never was their turf. Which is why I am consistent. I don't need any PR to whitewash this. It was a matter in the public domain. Probably the question is, why would an ex-lob be given an ex gratia? A leader of the opposition is a holder of a public office, and when you're in that office, you can only do that work. The same reason a former speaker, a former prime minister is given something to settle them, because they are public officers who do all and suffice all to serve the public. And see, when you leave that office where you have been invested totally, you should reflect the image of that office because of the personal office. That's the essence. And you see, when in the commission, we discussed several issues, including the fact that why would you give a former lob a one-off, and a former speaker eternity, a former prime minister, vice president eternity? Yes, this is a constitutional office. And you see, this is a political space. You win and lose at some stage. If you think this is purely a matter where you're going to have your way, then you're mistaken. So I think at this level, Oscar, we are discussing pure politics. And I am happy to participate in that conversation. But if anybody, that's why whoever, people went to court. There are people who went to the anti-corruption court, and they withdrew their own case. And they came to radio, including here. People went to the leadership code tribunal. They withdrew their own matter over this case because clearly they were told, but look, this is clear. There's no legal violation. This is the former leader of the opposition. This is the Parliamentary Management Act, Parliamentary Administration Act. This is what it says.
Okay.
So I am happy to discuss the politics of it. And I know I'll face the slack, but I don't want anybody to use this to try and crawl back on what I am. Of course, in the interim, people like my sister here have every reason to say, Matthias, you should have never have done that. But was it about me? Was it out of my personal volition?
She has said it was legal but wrong. Yeah,
the commission acts on behalf of the general public, and the commission only acts under law.
Okay.
There's no new law that was written.
Well, Honorable Mpuuga, thank you very much. We were waiting our turn to get here. I have 5 lawyers in studio. No. We have 5 lawyers in studio. We're going for a break, and after the break, we'll tackle the